If you get a high shuttle at the net, it's time to use your net kill. There are two types of net kill. The first type is the net kill from around the front service line, and the second type of net kill is the net kill closer to the net. First, we want to explain you the net kill from around the front service line. The net kill consists of two movements. The first movement is the preload action, and the second movement is the executing action. The preload action is actually one movement, but it consists of several steps. So, the first step is you want to raise your chest up high. You want to get your arm up in an attacking position by raising your elbow so you feel a slight stretch in your shoulder. You also want to change your grip from a normal forehand grip to a backhand grip, where you change the position of your thumb to either the broad piece of the racket or at the angle between the broad and the more narrow piece at the grip. So this is the preload action. Then it comes to the execution. The execution is started at the shoulder with a short pulling motion. The power is from here transferred through your elbow, which you stretch, and from there into your wrist in a short rotational movement. And the last bit of the action is where you tighten your fingers into a firm grip. This will make the racket end in a very clear motion. There's a couple of things to keep in mind when you execute the net kill. First of all, it's very important that you keep up your chest, and secondly, it's important that you also keep up your elbow. Don't get your elbow up too high, but at least don't let it drop down. Keep it in around a position like this. It's also important that you keep a loose grip, because it will enable you to do the very fast and clear snapping action. When you're hitting a net kill from closer to the net, you don't have so much space to work with. Therefore, the whole action becomes smaller. It still consists of a preload and execution. Because it's a smaller action, what you want to do is you want to, instead of pulling the whole arm back, you want to stretch your arm forward in a high position, also stretching in your elbow joint, although you still want to do a very good preload action in your wrist by cocking it back and still keeping your fingers in a loose position with the backhand grip. The execution is done only involving your wrist and fingers, done in a brushing movement parallel to the net. The reason why you want to use a brushing motion is that it allows you to hit the shuttle with more force in a limited amount of space. As in the backhand side, a net kill in forehand side consists of two types. There is a net kill from around the front service line, and there's a net kill from closer to the net. A net kill in forehand side also consists of a preload action and an execution. The preload allows you to build up power transferred to the execution. The preload consists of several steps that is performed in one motion. First, you want to raise your chest up and your arm. You want to bend slightly in your elbow. You cock back your wrist, and you hold the racket with a forehand grip, but not too tight. Important is that you try to pull back your racket, which does a small rotational movement in your shoulder, so that the inner part of your elbow is pointing forward. In this position, your muscles are preloaded and ready for execution. The execution is done in one motion, where you straighten your elbow, rotate in your wrist, and tighten your fingers into a firm grip that allows your racket to swing in a clear snapping motion. Hitting a net kill close to the net is done with a lot smaller swing, as we only have a limited amount of space to work with. It still consists of a preload and an execution. The preload starts with raising up the chest and arm. The elbow should be nearly stretched out, your wrist should be cocked back, and you should be holding your racket with a forehand grip but not too tight. The execution is done with a rotational movement of your wrist in a brush-like motion parallel to the net. The brush-like motion parallel to the net allows you to hit the shuttle with greater force, although the amount